Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer LB4381-400-633. This hinge is specifically intended for Stanley residential door systems, doors and frames. What that means is you're going to have a square corner leaf in a non-template pattern, and then a 5/8 radius leaf in a non-template pattern. This is a 4x4 hinge and a satin brass or 633 finish. So let's go over it. LB means that this is a maintenance-free style bearing type hinge. The 4381 means it's for the Stanley. It's got the template pattern for Stanley and the combination of radius corner and square corner. There's a link below this video to the template, which will show you everything important dimensionally about the hinge. Let's just go over it real quick. It's 4 inches tall. That's the first dimension on a hinge like this. And it's 4 inches wide. These hinges are very, very marginally less than 4 inch. It's like 3 7/8. That's, they call them 4 inch. There's a link below this video also to the installation instructions. And they are also on the back of the packaging that typically are included with these hinges. Okay. We'll go over that in a minute. And then certification and hinge selection guide, which we'll go over as well. So the 400 means it's 4x4. 633 is satin brass. Okay, very typical color. This is a full mortise hinge. You can see from the swag on the hinge leaves there that this hinge is intended to be mortised to the edge of the door and to the frame when the door is closed. This is going to be compatible with preparations from 85 thousandths to 109 thousandths thick, deep. Okay. Up to 3070 doors. 85-pound doors, you're going to want to use, up to 85-pound doors, you're going to want to use 2 spring hinges and then a standard hinge. And the axis of pivoting on this is going to be compatible with a standard 4-inch spring hinge, so you can mix and match. Up to 110-pound doors, 3 spring hinges. I'm a fan of all spring hinges, regardless really of the weight. They're inexpensive to begin with, but you get the added advantage of, I find that if you've got less spring hinges rather than more spring hinges, you've got to really crank the spring up a lot to get the door moving through the closing cycle, to get enough inertia through the closing cycle to get it to close, to overcome the resistance of the latch bolt hitting the strike plate. And sometimes you have to crank the spring up so high that the door kind of slams a little bit. I have found that with like 3 spring hinges in a typical application, I can really set the tension on them to work together better rather than having to overset the tension on the top spring hinge to kind of compensate, which allows me greater rates of success when trying to get the door not only closed but latched as well. It's as if you've got more torque, you know, on the energy that's coming off the springs as the door is closing, like a tugboat pulling something. It doesn't have a high top speed, but it's able to really do a job effectively. And that's kind of an analogy of the experience that I've had installing these. You can opt to go with 2, add a third if you think you need it, or 1 and then add a second if you feel you need it, you know, that kind of stuff. Available in different finishes on the website. Now, includes wood screws and metal screws, okay, in a complementary finish. You're going to get a tension rod, which is the piece of black metal that's in there. Then 2 tension pins, and there's 2 because there's 2 hinges on this client's order, otherwise you'd be just technically 1. So you're going to take the tension rod, and with the tension collar pointed up towards the top of the door, you'll insert that into one of the holes here, and then crank it clockwise. If your installation is such that you're going to have the square leaf over here, you want here's what I'm trying to say. If the tension collar is pointed towards the top of the door, turn it clockwise. And if it's rotated in the opposite direction, turn it counterclockwise. That will reveal new holes in the tension collar. And into one of those holes is where you're going to insert the tension pin. Okay, that little silver pin that's there. That's how you set the tension. And you can crank it over another time until you get it to where you want it to work real nice. you're going to use these on garage doors, attached garage doors to homes, which are typically like a 20-minute fire-rated door, maybe more. Spring hinges are for that sort of system. Front doors, if you want to have spring hinges, your patio door. Residential applications is where you're going to see this material from Bommer. Very good quality company, very good quality people standing behind it. Good fit and finish on their product. The last thing I'd like to show you is that Bommer logo, and you can see right above there it says Made in USA, a fact that Bommer is quite proud of, as am I, to represent them. If you have any questions on the Bommer LB4381-400-633 single acting spring hinge for Stanley Doors and Frames or any other Bommer product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you very much.